The sun's been angry at us all weekend, so why not stay inside and watch YouTube? That's much better this weekend. We have Perry from POTA News and Reviews down here, and he's going to talk a little bit about that site. But first, the Ham Radio Week. And I have a feeling from the talk backstage that this segment is going to be shorter than usual. Jürgen, how's your Ham Radio Week been?
Yeah, hi, good evening, everybody from Austria. Yeah, besides some POTA hunting, because we had such a great propagation to North America it was on Wednesday, I guess, on 15. Boy, that was amazing. Yeah, besides some POTA hunting, I had a chance to test the radio, the TEHRS 010. Great antenna, except on 80 meters, but that was expected. Yeah, today I wanted to do a POTA activation, but yeah, first of all, the weather, it was not very nice here today. Yeah, very windy. And then, yeah, we had the geomagnetic storm. So no way. Tried to hunt some POTA, some North American POTA today, but yeah, no chance. But on Wednesday, oh boy, on 15 meters, West Coast, New Mexico, Colorado, worked, what's his call sign? Mike, Kilo Echo Zero, Victor India Mike, the traveling ham in New Mexico, somewhere near the Area 51. And that was amazing because I know him. That was fantastic. Yeah, and more or less that was my ham radio week.
Yeah, you managed to put a video out there though in German. Really testing my German skills there because I didn't bother to click the subtitles on.
Why in German? Because there are already videos out there in English, and I'm sure it will be translated by YouTube very soon.
Because you made that video, Jürgen. That's why I watched it.
Yeah.
Or parts of it until I understood that I didn't understand Austrian German very well.
Yeah. It's a yeah, and you know we have different dialects in Austria. So
yeah,
as I mentioned, go ahead, Bob.
Yeah, I was going to say I don't understand Austrian German either, but then again I don't understand German. So
I don't understand Austrian German when they come from the western part of Austria. So they talk in a strange dialect. Partly.
I have a discussion with my wife. I have this ongoing discussion with my wife of whether or not a dialect and a speech impediment is the same thing. I claim that a speech impediment and a dialect is the exact same thing. That she's not budging.
Yeah. But you have time till July to learn it.
Yeah.
I've been in the Black Forest before, and that works great with English, Norwegian, and the hand gestures, and you get by.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, that was my ham radio week. Gary, how has your week been? Is it working? I'm not sure. Yeah. Can you hear me?
Gary?
Yeah.
How has your week been? How's your ham radio week been?
Oh, you asking me?
Yeah.
We're asking you.
Oh. I was just hanging out. Oh, well, hey, I don't understand Austrian German. I'm so sorry. It's the accent. Man, what a week. As I was telling the crew before we went live, I just got back into New England. I'd been on an over 3-week rove through, I guess, the eastern and southern part of the United States. I started middle of February in Providence, Rhode Island. And my first stop was Menlo, Georgia, where I hiked for about 10 days on the Cumberland Plateau in Alabama and Tennessee and Georgia, and then hopped on the train in Atlanta and went down to New Orleans, where I arrived in New Orleans on a Friday night and was only going to spend the weekend. And I think I ended up leaving on Wednesday. At one point, just blending into the crowd on Bourbon Street, dressed as a hobo, singing Bob Dylan songs, playing my harmonica. It was quite the experience. And then I just got back from Arizona. So from there, I hopped a plane to Arizona to Tucson And I spent the last week hiking and doing POTA and SOTA up in Tucson. So Mount Lemmon, Mount Bigelow, Mount Lemmon's at 9,200 feet, a little over around a little over 3,000 meters. Bigelow's a little bit shorter, but just beautiful hikes in the Sonoran Desert and doing a lot of POTA. It's so fun to run into all my friends because I often can't hear them from the East Coast, but out on the West Coast, man, I was hearing all my buddies up and down the West Coast and across the pond as well. So that was my week. I spent it traveling around doing POTA and SOTA.
That sounds lovely.
Nice.
Sounds like a great week.
It was great.
Kjetil,
Yeah. Is it
how's
still?
your-
Is it very hot where you went, or did you get there before then?
I got there just before. So the week I was in Tucson for about 10 days, and it was in the mid 90s, low to mid 90s at ground level, which is 2,600 feet in Tucson. Up in the hills, of course, it was 5 to 10 degrees cooler as you went up. But as I left that last day, they were looking at 104, 110 Fahrenheit. It was a very, very bad heat wave coming in, so I just missed it by that much.
Oh, that's lucky at least.
Yeah.
That is hard. Over here on my end, I've done 2 activations. I managed to get over 3,000 QSOs from one POTA, so 3 kilos.
Wow.
So
Holy
that's,
shoot.
or maybe that was last week. I don't remember, but that was fun. I did build a small QRP end-fed antenna, which I tried to test out last weekend with QRP, of course. And band conditions were bad then as well, so I got 0 QSOs. And I tried it out on Monday, and then I got 1 QSO, and then the battery on that radio died because I forgot to turn it off the day before. So it had enough for 1 QSO. And then I had a very nice trip out again on Friday. Went down to the beach and sat down in the sand and just enjoyed like the spring heat and doing radio on the beach. So it was nice. That was before.
And I
this
guess
was-
your spring heat is different from an Arizona spring heat, right, Kjetil?
Well, it was 10 degrees Celsius or something. So really nice.
Yeah.
It's it's a nice day out there. Also, I've been playing around a bit with the LoRaWAN again. Hooked up some primarily temperature and humidity sensors, but it also does some other stuff that I'm gonna have at the cabin. Not because I need to have temperature logging from the cabin, but it will be fun to have. I'm also seeing if I can hook up something so I can track the solar panel voltage or the battery system voltage or something like that from while I'm there, because that's actually something I need more than knowing the temperature. So that can be fun. So that's one thing. Another thing is that there's was a call out in the Parks on the Air Discord now, and there's going to be a World Autism Awareness Week, and they are looking for people to join in and operate them. So for those who may be interested in doing that for a day or more, then at least in the US, there's a special event called Science Setup. Haven't done that in Norway yet, but from what I remember from last year, there were quite a few around Europe for that. So head over to General over on the Parks on the Air Discord, and you'll find the contact info for that. So one of the many nice things you can help out with.
Nice.
Yes. What about you, Bob? Done anything fun?
Yeah, I have. Let's first congratulate Steve. I think he's made his first kilo this week. So
Yeah, let's see.
let's see if we can get that back up. Yeah.
Yep.
Congratulations. I'm surprised I see you operating outside so much, but you probably moved from park to park, and that's the reason the kilo took a while. But yeah, good work.
Yep.
I know that there's a lot of work behind a single kilo. And also to you, Kjetil. I'm assuming it's about 3 times as much work to get the 3,000.
Yes, but it just accrues over time. So you don't get a diploma for that. I'm not sure if it's
the thing is though, if you live close to a park, those things tend to happen by themselves.
Yes.
Yeah. How many do you have on Festningen?
I think I'm closing in on 6,000 QSOs there now.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's just because it's the easiest part to go to from home. It takes me 6 minutes to drive down there. With the mag mount and a ham stick, I can be on the air in 3 minutes. So it's my go-to part when I don't really have time to activate.
Yep. So also when we're into congratulations, I forgot there's a Matt over in the European Amateur Show Discord who passed his foundation exam this morning. So he will hopefully get a call sign sometime soon and get on air. So congratulations on that.
Congratulations, Matt.
Yeah, very nice work.
And Chetan, Marin's got a question here. How do people get into the POTA Discord?
I will find a link and post it.
Yep, that's probably the easiest way of joining that Discord.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll continue a bit on my week. Our friend Abe is in the Discord. I'm not sure if he's in the chat right now, but he reached out and asked for some of the code for that azimuthal rotor display thing that I made a few months back. And yeah, I packed it up, put it on GitHub, and invited him to have a look. And he did amazing things with it. I think that took about 14 hours, and he converted that to an HTML JavaScript thing standalone, which I think is pretty amazing because my Python version, that really churned away for maybe a minute to render some of those maps on the computer. So that was pretty amazing job he did there. I'm looking forward to seeing what he can come up with them, and yeah, probably at some point he's gonna want to show them off in the Discord, or maybe even on the show if that turns out to be something as cool as I think it is going to be.
But isn't this what happens when you give projects to Abe? I remember when Sean was doing the little dude and all the accessories and dinguses to put on there. Abe also started contributing there and improved a lot of things very fast. So yeah, in case your project gets stuck, send them to Abe. I think that's the lesson learned here.
To be fair, that was not my intention, and this is his to his credit, all of it. I think at this point, the only thing I contributed was a vague idea of what was possible. So the rest is on him. And he sent me I think when was this? This was this morning when I woke up. I got a message from him on Discord saying, "Here, look at what I did." And I said, "I just need to wake up first." And he said, "I haven't gone to bed yet." And of course, he's in the US and I'm in Europe. So, that's an all-nighter for sure.
Nice.
But yeah, I've been doing other things as well. So I'm gonna try and see if I can share something. It's been so long. Share screen maybe, and I get to select a window. Hope I get the right one. Yeah, I do. Can we? Yes, we can. Mm-hmm. I've been finally spring has sprung, as they say in Norway, and I've been going to a summit, but not for the reason you might expect, because this summit now has a meshcore node on it. This is not it, of course. This is just a very beautiful picture of the view and a very beautiful meshcore companion. But this is what I put up on that summit. This is the meshcore, the solar meshcore repeater I made a video of a few weeks back. I don't know if it's visible, but what I did was I duct taped it to a tree. So we'll see how long that lasts. My thinking is that was quick. I'm afraid of heights, so I didn't want to climb that tree too tall, and I didn't want to bring tools up there. So
that tree looks a little bit too tiny for a middle-aged man to be climbing up. Actually,
yeah. Any tree is actually too big for this middle-aged man for climbing. I'm not built for climbing, and I don't have the nerves for it. But it turns out this thing. Go ahead.
Yeah, if you give it a few years, then it will be tall enough. So like 10, 15 years or something. Then.
If the glue on the gaffer's tape hold, it'll be good.
And the battery.
Yeah.
Well, it's a solar repeater. It's got a solar panel on it, and so far it's been up there now for 24 hours, and so far it's been doing an excellent job recharging from the sun. So we'll see how that turns out. But yeah, this is basically the view from the antenna. So as you can see, it's like this for about 180 degrees from where the antenna is. So it's got a really, really nice takeoff in a large over a large area. And as you can see here, this was after about 20 hours. The app only shows 10 repeaters, but it actually connected with 19 other repeaters over this area in that time.
Nice.
And lastly, this is the projected coverage area from that summit. I think this map is about maybe a little more than 100 kilometers each way. So someone can.
I can almost see my house on that map.
Where you live is on that map, all the way on the right, but you probably can't see your house quite because it's zoomed out quite a bit. So that was. I'm pretty happy with that. The mesh core community on or around the Oslo Fjord, I should say. There's something on the sunny side now as well, Morten. So it's coming along, and this has exploded. The first repeater in this area showed up at January 1st, and now I can just bring my little. I don't have it here, but my little companion. I bring that along when I'm outside, and basically I have a coverage everywhere. Whether I'm driving, whether I'm walking, whether I'm sitting down at a cafe. It's like SMS used to be in the days of the Nokia. So pretty amazing speed that this has been deployed to in this area, and very much looking forward to continuing that.
Nice.
Yeah. So that was. I think that's most of my week, and next week is going to be more of the same. I think I mentioned that I accidentally ordered parts for 4 more solar repeaters. They'll probably arrive anytime now. Bad thing is the AliExpress store I bought the antennas from. They effed that up, so I had to accidentally order 4 more antennas because they got but they'll be on the way now.
Nice. I might end up buying one of those repeaters from you.
Let's see if we can find a nice place to put it, and we'll put it up together. That could be a fun video as well. So
that could absolutely be a fun video. Now that I'm going to talk about it, but I've joined the Mesh Core crowd. At least I have the hardware to join the Mesh Core crowd.
You have two nodes. That's a mesh. That's
Can you post Bob? Can you post the parts list on our Discord?
It's if you find the video where I made it, then that's the parts list is underneath there. Yeah. So that's it for me. How about you, Morten? Tell us about your week.
I had great plan. Well, it's been a week. Let's start there. Not much ham radio this week. Been away at a conference from Monday morning to Thursday late night. So I had great plans this weekend. Go out, do some portable activations, enjoy the spring weather and everything. The sun canceled those plans, to put that mildly. But I picked up a package on Friday. Got a couple of things in there. Got one of those Sharpies here, which I'm going to set up and figure out how it works until I need to demonstrate that on our How to Get Started with All-Star show, which is coming up faster than I'm comfortable with. So plan was to set that up. That didn't happen. I got some cables for the MFJ TNC2 that I picked up at the Hamfest. Plan to make a cable for that. Looked at that yesterday morning, figured out I was too tired to just make a connection diagram between the 6-pin minute in and the DIN connector on the TNC. So I actually started just continuing where I left off last weekend with a 3D printer that was arguing with me, but I managed to print a couple of cases here for the Mesh Core companions. Haltech V3 boards in this. Let's see if we can open it up here. And this is the one with the old camera battery, actually. But Haltech V3 board and a battery. That's basically it. Made a video on Mesh Core today. Didn't exactly take off. Let's put it that way. I think it's one of my worst performing videos ever on YouTube. So I'm not sure how your meshcore videos are doing, Bob, but I don't seem to be hitting the meshcore crowd with my things.
I think I've inherited some LoRa interest from my my LoRa APRS videos, so that spills over into interest in meshcore as well. So.
Yeah, but then again, my LoRa APRS videos didn't do well or don't do well either. But well, enough about that. I have 2 companions here, so I need to have some infrastructure around me. When doing that video, I kind of blackmailed my daughter into being in the living room and replying to my messages on it in order to demonstrate it. But it's working, and I guess that's my ham radio week. Actually, I usually have a lot of pictures, nice locations, and everything. Not today.
You did go a beautiful place, though. So.
I did go to a really beautiful. I went to Malta on the west coast, actually the town where I grew up. Which was kind of strange to go there for work, but really nice place and an abundance of parks nearby, but no time to bring the radio out, unfortunately. So yeah, been playing with wireless microphones. I think that's the closest thing to RF I got this week. And we've done something wrong with this week because we're only at 21 minutes now.
No. This is. I know why we always go long on the ham radio moment. It's because of Tobias. He's not here today, and we went short.
Yes,
it's been proved. Yeah,
it's never you who go long, Bob.
Oh no,
never.
No, that's lovely.
But it's gonna be actually more ham radio this coming week. I have a normal week this next week, and then it's Easter and a lot of time for ham radio and fun stuff. And for that, I guess POTA News and Reviews is a great part. Oh, that was a great segue. I just have to say that.
Very nicely done.
So Perry, tell us a little bit about your website there and what it is and what it isn't.
Great. So you're going to just have to stop me at some point because I'm a retired professor and I'm used to, when I start, stopping at about the 70-minute point.
Like me.
Just so you know. So folks, first, thank you so much for having me on the program. It is so much fun to do these shows and to meet all of you guys. And I just really, really appreciate that. So thank you all very much. In terms of POTA News and Reviews, if you don't know me, I'm Perry, W1GRD, Golf Radio Delta. The GRD is in honor of the Grateful Dead. I am a big Deadhead, have been for a long, long time. And if you hop over into my QRZ page, you'll see some additional Grateful Dead. I was a retired professor tonight. Hey, W1GRD, no kidding, GRL. I did not know you were a retired professor. Oh, we have to connect. We'll connect. I was at Boston University. So I was at Boston University for, and I got my 25-year clock and retired around the same time. So I was there for about 25 years. I did my degrees there as well. And so I was there for a while, and I just stayed and taught in the computer science department. So my degrees are in electrical engineering and computer science, and I taught at BU for 25 years or so, mainly in software engineering. And in terms of POTA, I'm one of those hams that had a huge lapse in my ham career. I was really, really into ham radio in the 1970s and 1980s. I was first licensed in 1974 and 1975, somewhere around there, as WN9THY. And over the years, just got more and more involved. I was in the national traffic system in the United States, handling high-speed traffic at the backbone level. I got into the ham radio business. Some of you old people might remember 73 magazine. 73 was one of the, I guess, quartet of magazines back in the day. We had CQ, 73, QST from the League, and Ham Radio, which was, I think, Chip's magazine. I was editor-in-chief of 73 magazine for about 3 years. And back then, we were doing a lot of Packet. Packet was new, and I ran a lot of articles about Packet radio, which kind of was presaging, what we see now in digital radio. But then I dropped out for about 30 years. I just didn't do any radio whatsoever. And about 2 years ago, somebody sent me an article from IEEE magazine about these little Quanchang radios, these little, handhelds, and how much fun they were and how cheap they were. It was like $15. So I ordered one from Amazon and it came in. I programmed it with some local repeaters. And I was like, oh, yeah, I remember how much fun ham radio was. And I was getting toward retirement. It seemed like a really good transition for me back into something I had enjoyed. So it was like a Tuesday, and I went online and it's like, what do I need to do to get my license back? And it's like, oh, you just need to take an online exam. I was in extra class. KW10 was my last call sign, Kilo Whiskey 1 Oscar, which I gave up Kilo Kilo 2 Yankee for. Like, but they said, oh, just take a test. So I signed up for the test on Tuesday. The following Tuesday, all I had to take was a technician class online exam, and I aced it. And they just gave me my extra back. I was like, well, that's pretty sweet. Like no work whatsoever. Wasn't that sweet? Yeah. And the first thing that caught my eye was POTA. And it was because there was a local repeater, and that's what I was hitting with the little Quanchang. It was the Pilgrim Amateur Wireless Association down here in Massachusetts. They are heavy into POTA. This is where WC1N lives, NS1C, N1TM, like NTM. Like if you've heard POTA from Massachusetts, it's probably a Pawa person. It was completely by accident. I felt bad because I was playing around with D-Star and using their repeater to get into the system. I felt bad about occupying it so much. I sent them $20 and they said, oh, well, you're a member now. And they were doing POTA and introduced me. And oh my God, my first activation was horrific. It was about 1.5 years ago, 2 years ago, I guess, at this point. Horrific. I forgot my CW key. So I tried to use the mic, the mic PTT button on the mic to send CW. It was, I'd read that you just throw a wire over a tree. So I just threw a wire over a bush and it was just, oh my God, horrible.
Oh, lovely.
Yeah. I mean, I did submit that log. Fortunately, it was under a different call sign, AC1RQ. And I quickly got W1GRD and just sort of moved on. But I've been a hiker forever. Ever since I was a kid, I've hiked. And once I realized that I could carry a radio on my back and hike into the woods and play radio there, like, oh man, it just, I was on fire and have been ever since. I still am on fire. Like I said, I just got back from 3 weeks on a POTA row across the country because I love it so much. So as part of that, I was getting more and more into POTA, and I started looking around for community. I found the Discord pretty quickly, and what a great group on the Discord, man. I saw Stu on here, a couple other folks that I recognize, BHN, all you guys I recognize from the Discord. So that is a sweet, sweet community. Mm-hmm. But apart from that, so that's very ephemeral, right? It's like, it's very conversation oriented. And once those conversations are done, they kind of go away. And I was looking for something a little more permanent to bring a POTA community together around. And I took a look at Facebook and then stopped looking at Facebook. Like it was, the Facebook community around POTA is just really weird. And I remember it's like, I should probably interact with these people. And I signed up for my first Facebook account, made my first post, and was immediately banned. All right, so I can see how this is going to go. At that point, it's like, well, I was visiting so many parks. I got into this whole idea of uniques. I wanted to go to as many unique parks as I could. And I'm a writer. I write by nature. Facebook's very weird. I just love writing, though, that's part of my expression. And so I was writing a lot about my POTA experiences. POTA News and Reviews kind of grew out of that. It was, I wanted a place where I could blog, write long form essays about the places I was seeing, because, oh my God, the parks like when you go in, like I said, I did 100 hikes last year, 100 uniques, and every one of them has something really interesting to bring to the table. Like, you just can't believe what's in these places. And I do like, 4, 6, 8, 10 mile hikes when I go in. So I was really, really exploring these places. And I wanted to share that joy of being out in nature with radios with other people. So POTA News and Reviews started as a blog, mainly just my own personal blog. I started writing about the places I was going. And as people started reading these, and like asking questions and interacting, and it's like, can I write too? I started building out POTA News and Reviews. So just very quickly, let me show you what PNR looks like. Do a quick screen share here.
I do remember when you started sharing these, that it started filling out something that I found was missing compared to like what you had in SOTA. With the SOTLess, you have, at least there you have pictures and you have trails and stuff that people can share the journey. And that's something that I found completely missing in Parks on the Air before.
Exactly. Yeah, I mean, there was the POTA.app site, right? But there wasn't really any community around that apart from the Discord, which, as I said, was very kind of loose.
Yep.
Can you guys see my screen?
Yep.
Yep.
Okay, great. So here is POTA News and Reviews, and it's mainly a series of long form articles at this point. So here's one by Rem K6BBQ about some bunkers he visited on the West Coast, which were very interesting. Here is John talking about he did a lion of all things, and just how that lion came together, and like what he had to do to plan it, and all the logistics behind it. And of course, I'm writing stuff too. Like this is a recent post on my trip out to Arizona. This is Mount Lemmon at 9,200 feet or so. I did a SOTA and a POTA, and it's just stayed at this place, which was gorgeous. But it's just like my take on the geology, the history, the archaeology, the park itself. Like, what's interesting about this place? That's what's in these articles. From that, I realized, like, you know what? I have several authors. Kettle, you've written here, a couple of other folks. These are long form articles. That's not for everybody to write. Like, it's a skill, and I kind of recognize that. But there also seemed to be this need for something a little more permanent, but a little less formal than POTA News and Reviews. Like, these are columns essentially. There's here's This Week in POTA. This Week in POTA is actually written by ChatGPT, known as Ada to me because she asked me to call her Ada after Ada Lovelace. But every week, I give Ada, ChatGPT, a whole list of links. Like, here's what I noticed was happening during the week. And she goes out and summarizes them. So I don't edit these at all. This is ChatGPT just writing about what she's reading on Facebook, on QRZ, on QRPeer, on my site, in Discord. I just give her all those feeds, and then she goes and writes these articles. So this is all written. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, they're also quite good compared. Like, they're not AI slop articles. They're actually, there's some good content in some of these, and it picks up so many cool stories. So I like that.
It's fascinating, and like she has some very general guidelines. So it's like, Ada, so if you're mentioning a person, a call sign, a park, those have to be bold. I want you to be sassy and fun. And I think she's really captured that. Where this came from, by the way, was I grew up in Indiana and out in the woods, like out in the sticks. But my nearest neighbor was a guy who wrote a column for the Terre Haute Tribune, the newspaper, and it was called The Nosy Newshawk. And it was just this, but it was about Terre Haute, Indiana. All, so-and-so just won a band award, and so-and-so got married, and so-and-so had a baby. And it was just the news of the town, It was the most read column in the paper. When I got to 73 magazine, I remembered that. And I said, you know what? I'm going to do the same thing at 73. And I started a new column called QRX. QRX was printed on yellow paper up front in the magazine, and it was exactly this. It was, here's what happened this month in ham radio, but just this sort of sassy sort of thing. And it was the most popular thing in the magazine. So when I set up POTA News and Reviews, it's like, you know what? I need to recapture that kind of fun news, like community kind of thing. And that's what the weekly newsletter is. So you can subscribe to this, by the way. You can subscribe right here on the site. There is a subscription button up at the top. You can send tips. Somewhere back here is a tip thing. Here we go. If you have tips, send them to tips@pota.news. And anything that gets fed to tips@pota.news, I feed to Ada. So if you have an event coming up, if you've done a really cool activation, something you want to share, just send it to tips. And that goes right to this newsletter that goes out every week. All right, so from that came, all right, I've got this site that now has these long form essays, which are, that's not for everyone, to write, but they're really interesting to read. Readership has been climbing steadily over the year that this has really been up. Then I said, all right, let's move on from Discord and let's use something called Discourse, which is here on, if you see here, I've got this forums link, right? So I click forums. Now in the forums, this is more of a traditional kind of bulletin board system. So we've got categories of, hunting, gear, field reports, and so on. If you click on a category, there's going to be articles over here. This is more of the conversational piece. So the forums are where all of us sort of just hang out and chat. And I don't think there is something like this for POTA at this point. From that came the map. And so the map was, and I know you guys wanted to hear about POTA map. POTA map was my problem. I was new to POTA. I didn't know what was out there in terms of parks. And so I wanted some way to visualize it. I didn't think the POTA.app map was all that great. It just felt awkward. And I'm a computer science guy, right? So I started building out POTA map. Here's the POTA map viewer. Let me just go over to where I am, center my location. So here's where I live in Massachusetts on that little blue flag. What I wanted to do here was to visualize data coming out of POTA.app database, the official database from POTA, but in a slightly different way. So for example, each of these spots is a park, of course. Each of the colors and shapes has a different meaning. And originally, POTA map was set up with just this. So all you did was you could click on a park, and you get a little bit of information about the park and some directions. What I realized really quickly was I was imposing my way of doing POTA on everyone else. I built this map for me, and it was very rigid in how it was used. It was the way I used it. And if you didn't use it that way, it was awkward. And I had this epiphany. It's like, no, you have to flip this around. Just give people tools. Give them a tool set, visualization that they can customize any way they want. Like, for example, these colors at one point meant something, like red was less than 100 contacts, green was whatever. All that's gone. It's very freeform now, to the point where you can do things like this. So I invented a query language. There's a query language called PQL. And if you're interested in seeing PQL, you can go over to how to use this map. There's a whole set of instructions over here and a whole reference somewhere down here about park query language. Filters, we can filter on things. Spot colors, info. Here we go, park query language. So there's an entire SQL style language, structured query language style language around parks. I can search for things that are active or not, max distance, min distance, that sort of thing. Queries like this. So show me in Massachusetts, state MA, things that I haven't worked. So mine 0. with a max distance of, say, 50 miles. So what parks within a 50-mile radius haven't I worked? There they are. And I can say, all right,
Cool.
so how about mode CW, max contacts, say 10. Now I've got just a couple of parks. That's where nobody's been doing CW that are within 50 miles of me. I can save it. If I want to do a save search, I'll just say save current and I'll name it. And this is 50-mile prospects. 50-mile prospects. And now I can go back to that later. If I say, hey, what were those parks within 50 miles? And when I find one, I'll just replay it. 50-mile prospects, there they are. So I'll pick one. And now I can see things like, oh, so here's the official page for it. I can get directions to that park from my location. And this works on mobile too. So if I'm in the car, if I want to go to a park, I just pop this up and it takes me right to it.
We got a question here, Perry.
Yes, please. Yeah, I can't see this.
Is it a way to find multiple parks at one location, a twofer, threefer, and so on?
Well, you can do things like this. So like let's try this one. State, Massachusetts, N for, or is it has N for? I can't remember if it's has or just N for. It's probably just N for. N for 1. So 1 is yes, 0 is no. So these are parks within Massachusetts. Looks like that's probably a trail down there. But these are parks within Massachusetts that have potential NFIRS. And you can see possible NFIRS here.
How do you determine a possible NFIR?
So there's an engine behind this. I take a daily feed. Don't tell the POTA people this. I take a daily feed from their site. And there are several passes. One is I examine the daily logs and I update things like, you'll notice here that I've got mode-based activation information, CW894, phone 5351. You won't find that on POTA.app's site. I calculate these daily from the stream that I get from POTA.app. So this is unique to POTA.map, POTA Maps.
When you say from POTA, you mean a log stream of logged activations?
Yeah, so I pull from their database. There are a couple of places where you can go to pull data from the database in various ways, and I do it in a couple of different ways to synthesize this data.
Yeah.
I also then synthesize the NFIR data. That happens quarterly. So for NFIRs, I again download. I restrict to the top 200 activators because my assumption is that the top activators are probably the ones leveraging NFIRS. I then examine their logs. And what I'm looking for are logs that have an activation on the same UTC day with exactly the same number of contacts in CW phone and data. And I just infer that that is an NFIR. It's not necessarily true because, for example, when I'm on a rove, I'll go to a park, I'll do 12 contacts, go to the next park, do another 12. So that would show up as a false NFIR in my filters. But I accept that because I think it's a pretty small percentage. So these NFIRs are calculated quarterly based on quarterly activation data from POTA.app.
Very cool.
Yeah. If I want to make notes, so let's do a couple more things. So you notice that some of these things have different symbology. Here's one that has like a red ring, a gold star, and a green thing. If I click here, what this is telling me is that I have notes. So that special circle, the red circle around, says I have notes on this. If I click on the arrow up in the upper left, that spins around. And notes for here, these notes accept a limited form of markdown. So I can put URL links in here, for example. And here's a backgrounder in the app called Bear. And that tells me a little bit about the park. And that's just local notes that I've saved. Here's another one over here. Here's one it looks like. Wells State Park. Let's see what the notes are here. A trail map. So 60 campsites I made a note of. And here's the trail map for the park. So within POTA Map, I can now start to use this as a research tool. I can save searches. Like here are my hikes in Arizona. I can start to save these searches and then do, research around this. Like, so Actually, people have been there more recently than me. I was there just a few days ago. But now I can take notes and make links between things and really start to build a research base on where I want to go, where I have been. And this POTA query language is powerful enough that I can do just about anything I want against the database of parks in terms of operators. If I know somebody's on the air, there's a call sign query. So I can say, hey, question mark call WC1N, and it'll just take me wherever he is and center it on the map. So the query language is extremely powerful at this point, and the map itself is pretty stable. It's been, I haven't made any significant changes for about 6 months. What else? I wanted to show you one more thing, which is this. So some extra symbology. You'll notice that there are purples here. The purples are new parks. So these are new within the past, I believe, 30 days. All of these are going to have just a few activations. So total activations 3. Here's one with 1 activation. If you're looking for new parks to activate, this is one way to do it. You can just look at the map. You can also do a PQL query for new. The other is these dark ones, these dark spots. These are no activations. So if you're looking for something brand new to activate, you want to be the first one in, this is what you're looking for. The glowing things just tell us about this guy's QRT. Let's find an actual person who's operating. Here's somebody over here. So that's the current activation is marked by these glowing bubbles. And we can turn them on and off with filters. So I can say, you know what, I just want to see just actives. Let's turn them all off. Here's just active in the country. And in those, I can turn off, I'm not interested in SSB, so we'll just turn off SSB. And data, known data. Let's look for CW. That's real POTA. But the filters allow me to do things like just really zoom in. Like sometimes I just put a picture of the country up on my desktop, and that shows me everyone who's active.
Yeah.
All of
you
them.
do have POTAs in other countries than the US, and I believe I see Canada there as well. Do you have some in Europe as well?
Yep, I've got data for Canada, data for Great Britain and Ireland, and on demand. So I have a request from a country that has a large number of parks. The issue is that it's a big data set, and it's refreshed periodically. I only do deltas daily, so any day that you come on to POTA Map, you'll see a little thing up in the corner that says refreshing data. That does a quick hit against my servers to only get data that's new since you last opened up the map. But once a month, it does a complete refresh of the underlying database. That's big data. And if I included the entire world or parts of Europe, it would take a long time to download. So that's a future enhancement, is to allow you to choose which region of the world you want to download maps for.
Yeah, I imagine that will hopefully be better when they replace the API at POTA as well.
Yeah, Shane's got a question here. How do you add a note to a park in the map?
Yeah, sure. So let's look at one. Let me go back to where I live, center on my location. Let's just say I wanted to just enter a note. So here's Ames Knoll. And it's up here in the upper left corner is this little arrow. You can flip the card around, essentially. So I flip it over. Now here are my notes. I just say add note. So here's a note. Go visit. And if I wanted to add a URL sort of base note, I would do it this way. POTA News. This is just straight markdown. If I could type. And HTTPS, POTA.news. So I can put links in this way. POTA, like that, and say done. And now my note shows up. Here's a note, go visit. Well, I didn't do it right, but it'll take you to that spot. If I were typing better. So that's how you add a note. And the notes are linkable. What's really nice about the notes is that some note-taking software like Bear is a very powerful note-taking software on the Mac. It has a URL scheme. So I can say, instead of HTTPS, I can say BEAR : and that'll open up a note in Bear, which we saw earlier. So
I'm
that's
just amazed at this. It's there's got to be a lot of work behind this, Barry.
it's an astounding amount of code. And I'm not going to lie, AI helped a lot with this code. Like, I'm a computer science professor and have been for 30 years. I've been doing this a really long time. Um, I found that leveraging AI, specifically ChatGPT for some of this, takes a lot of the friction away. It's like, you know what? I wanted to add that markdown style note-taking capability. I could have done it myself. It would have taken me 2 or 3 days to figure out how to add all that in. Instead, I said, hey, Ada, I'd really like to add markdown note-taking capability to this flip over on the card. And in half an hour, I had a prototype code, and in another hour, I was pushing it to production. So the friction between having an idea and implementing it in a really solid way, like a testable way, is being reduced significantly.
Yeah.
All right.
Very, very
So-
cool.
That's the system. Let me pull this down so we can chat, and that's all you need to know.
So one very nice thing before you remove it, but as a map representative, you showed one POTA park that's very far out of bounds. So I can see the need to just filter on your country and just seeing that it's placed correctly. Because there's a Canadian POTA that is in, I'm not sure which country that is. It's Azerbaijan, I think. I managed to place a Norwegian POTA far into Russia once by mistyping a character, minus or something. So it's really easy to spot that kind of mistakes when you have something a bit more flexible than the normal map.
Right. And I do minor corrections. For example, around here in Massachusetts, I know the map reps and I know where the pins should be. And so I will make corrections in my database, the POTA map database, so that the pin is in the right spot. Here's a great example in Arizona. So I was actually hiking here. I was hiking up here. The pin is down here. This is Coronado National Forest. I was actually hiking in this part of the forest, 50 miles away. I have the capability, because I own the database, of dropping that pin right where the parking lot is, and then that propagates through everyone's POTA map experience. But it's very spotty. A lot of it is just stuff I've noticed.
Yeah, and I noticed that it's very hard to place the pin. Generally, we just go with the geodetic center in Norway, which is never going to be perfect. But sometimes it's actually outside of the park. Like if you have a C-sharp park, it's in the middle. So there are some challenges there. So
and here a lot of times the pin is like the post office box for the headquarters of the park. Or I've been dropped, on a bridge above where the park actually is. Like some of them they're just not quite correct.
Yeah.
But I've been looking at this map now for the last hour or so. It's amazing the amount of data you can pull out of it, and in a short time. And it's a place to get a little bit lost when planning your parks and your rows. Just having it visualized this way, and it's so much faster than the official POTA map as well.
Yeah, and speaking of the official POTA map, let me just show you one thing that's kind of crucial. When you first bring up the POTA map, it doesn't have any of your information in it, and so the very first thing you need to do is down in somewhere, save searches. Here it is, upload activations file, down at the very bottom. It says upload activations file. That file comes from POTA.app. So you go over to POTA.app and you hit my stats. Right here, you see this export CSV button. That file is what you feed into the map. So when it's asking for a file, that's the file it's looking for.
Yeah.
That one. Once it has that, so that's just historic information. Once it has that historic information, every time you open the map, it actually goes out to POTA.app, queries their database, and pulls down your most recent 25 activations. So if you're activating, you know, once or twice a week or 2 or 3 times a week, you never need to do that again. It'll always show your current activations. It's getting them automatically.
That is that is nice to know. I want to go back to the long form articles a little bit, Barry. If people want to contribute and write up about a park, how do they go about to do that?
I would love to have people writing here. It's been a long haul. I've got about 4 writers right now, Kettle, Rem, K6BBQ, a few others who are writing articles for the site. But like it's hard. I would love to have more articles. Just send email to tips, TIPS, @POTA.news. Actually, anything @POTA.news. They all come to me, and I'll just say like, hey, I'd love to write. You know, how can I write? And I'll set you up. So what I normally do is I just accept articles in any format, Word documents, PDFs, pages, text, whatever you have, and then I'll format it and post it on the site under your byline. It's kind of set up like a magazine because I'm not going to lie, I was a magazine publisher for a while, an editor at 73, and I really, really, really like magazines. I love doing that work. And later on in my life, I published books. I published about 400 books, other people's. I was the publisher at a publishing house. And I really love that too. So I just love that physical, like publishing sort of process. And in the back of my head, I've got like an 18-month plan to launch a magazine for POTA, an actual physical magazine. POTA News and Reviews is kind of the structure for that. And I'm kind of building that out in a way that will support a magazine. So you'll notice that, you know, down here I've got, I don't know, news and opinions, right? So this is news and opinions, like this is a column. I've got other columns as well. This Week in POTA, there are a few other columns. Articles, columns, reader interactions, that'll go all into the magazine. So POTA News and Reviews is sort of being built out as a way to transition into a print magazine with a web property. And because of that, I'm treating articles as being submitted rather than having like regular logged in authors. You know, so you send your articles to me, I do a little bit of edit and then publish it on the site is how it works. But again, just send a note to news@POTA.news or tips and I'll get that.
Nice. I was thinking about it's been spinning a little bit in the back of my head of writing something about my favorite parks here.
This calendar up here. So the calendar is, again, something I don't think we have in POTA. I just looked at the time.
Yeah, don't worry about it.
I don't think we have a shared calendar for POTA. So on POTA News and Reviews, on the forum side, here's a calendar. And you know, I'm trying to keep it as best I can updated, but it's kind of just me, like, you know, putting stuff in. Yeah, this is going to have an article behind it, right?
If we want to add something to the calendar, also tips @POTA.news?
Exactly. Or events, EVENTS.
Events.
Either work. Or even better, just come over to here to the forum and subscribe. So if you're logged out, let me just log out really quickly. Log out. So if you're on the site, there's a sign up button and just sign up. And then you can post your own calendar items. So the forum here, this is the place where people come together, almost like a Facebook replacement. These are the ongoing conversations. But it's a record of those ongoing conversations, right? So, you know, if you're talking about a park, like here's somebody who just, mentioned this park and, you know, they're just talking about the park. And you can come and search on that. So if you go into a park, come here, search for it, look at POTA map, see if there's an article about it. Eventually, these things will be tied also back to the POTA map too.
Yeah.
Nice.
Nice.
That's what I've been up to.
Yeah. I'm not sure if you. I know we're shortly over time,
Great.
which isn't a massive crisis after last week.
I'm trying to figure out how to get back to where I was.
Whatever. But
Here you are.
could you just
There we are.
could you just very quickly talk about the Pack Mule?
Oh, the Pack Mule, of course. Kettle. Thank you so much. All right, just again, I'm sorry, I'm trying to be quick. I warned you guys. So the Pack Mule, let me just pop this open again. Hang on. So the Pack Mule I got really frustrated. This is an interesting story, I think. I got really frustrated with the POTA Awards. The official POTA Awards just seemed really stale to me. It's like, oh, yay, I activated 10 parks, I get a certificate. I activated 20 parks, I get a certificate. What's it named? I don't know. Like, it just shows up in my feed sometimes, sometimes awards don't show up at all. Like, I don't know why. And so I was like, I was actually going to recreate the POTA Awards program. I was going to build out my own awards through POTA News and Review to replace all of the ones on the official POTA app. Thank you, YO3GNU. I was going to replace their awards program with something I thought was more logical, that was more exciting, and had like really clear levels of progression. And I started asking a lot of questions about this. And boy, did the POTA people get upset. Kind of back channel, I got a couple of emails like, yeah, you've really pissed a lot of people off here. They're like, oh, good. Like, yay. That's how we move forward, right? Like getting people pissed off. And I noticed now that they're having a whole revamped, they're going to rebuild the entire awards program. It's like, okay. In the meantime, I realized that wasn't the right thing to do. It's sort of like Apple, Apple, the company, is famous for saying, oh, we're going to build a car. And everyone goes crazy, right? Building cars to compete with Apple. And then 3 years later, Apple says, nah. So it was the same thing here. I started to really start structuring this awards program and thinking hard about, what it looked like. And at some reason, some level, I realized nah, this isn't productive. Duplicating that effort with some changes isn't really useful. And so instead I looked for something that was challenging, that would engage people. And I turned to WWFF and to the SOTA program and started looking at their awards, and kind of came up with something that's really similar to the SOTA Mountain Goat Award, which requires 1,000 points. A given hill that you might climb in SOTA might be worth 3 points or 4 or 5. The ones I climbed in Arizona were worth 10. It takes a long time to get a Mountain Goat Award. It's a big deal. And so the analog for POTA is, let me just share my screen because I can show you. The analog here is allow share screen, share entire screen. I think you can see my screen at this point.
Yep.
And let's go to PNR. The outcome of all of that thought was the Pack Mule Award. So the Pack Mule Award, it requires 100 hikes. You have to do at least a half a mile hike in each of those 100 hikes. So you're doing a minimum of 50 miles of hiking. And you need 22 QSOs to complete a Pack Mule activation. You can do it over a period of time. So it was similar to, I think, WWFF. So I can go and do 12, and then the next day do 10, and I've got 22, So I can spread it out. We call those complete activations. So I can have an incomplete activation or a complete activation. I just need 22 contacts from that spot. And then there aren't very many people working on this. Ed, I think I now have 7. Ed's at 6. There's a handful of us who are working toward the Pack Mule. It's going to take me a couple of years to do this. 100, yeah. It's like you can't be anywhere near your vehicle. It started on January 1st. It's going to be really tough, and we're the group of us who are kind of doing this Pack Mule thing, we're starting to think about like, what's the award look like? It has to be something physical and like significant, you know, when you actually make this. So that's the Pack Mule, and it's the challenge that POTA News and Reviews is putting out to all POTA activators. Like, just get out of your car, you know, like stop going to a park and just sitting in your truck or whatever and making 400 contacts. Like, what's the point? We call those park and bark activations. These we call rock and roll, because you sit on a rock, make your 22, and then you roll on down the trail. But the goal of all of this is to get people into the parks to see what amazing things are in these places. You can't do it just sitting in your car. So all of it, POTA News and Reviews, the map, the forums, the Pack Mule, it's all to encourage people to get out into nature and enjoy hiking and enjoy being there.
I got to say, Kjetil, you could have warned me before you got into this, because this is not the sort of thing that I can hear without. Yeah, I have a mountain goat, and I also did a competition for the first kilo award in Norway, and I have a tendency to get hooked on things like this. So I don't know if I'm going to thank you or no, not in the least. All right,
but if you do a Pack Mule, I will personally come and award it to you with your real name.
You will come and award it here in Europe?
I will.
That's a deal.
Cool. Why not?
Well,
You be in this age, you know. It's like
Okay,
the trip I just took. I didn't have any destination. I bought there was a train ticket for $250 that lasted 30 days and 10 segments getting off and off the Amtrak train. So I bought one and I just headed out. I had no idea where I was going. The only reason I was in Tucson is because that's where the train stopped. I didn't know anything about Tucson, Arizona. I was like, and New Orleans, like I was only going to stop for a couple of days. I ended up staying for 5. You know, it's like I just had no agenda, no destinations. I had some clothes and my radios, and that was it. And I just traveled wherever I wanted to travel, and I was who I wanted to be, like all the time. It was so fun.
Nice.
Yeah.
Hey, buddy.
Let's see how long that's going to take. But if you guesstimate 3 years, I'll see you. And you don't have to come to Norway. We can agree on someplace nice you want to visit, someplace in Europe, and we'll meet up. And you can hand over that trophy. That's.
I am dying to come to Norway. Don't you miss out on that. Any excuse, I'll be there.
We do have some nice nature here, as you've seen in some of the articles.
You sure do.
So,
do.
Bob is the guy who will be able to do this in a few months or whatever.
It's gonna go quickly with Bob.
Yeah,
I spent 3 years to get the mountain goats. I'll get into it, but we'll see. I can set aside 2 years to work on this. That sounds like fun. So yeah.
You know what pisses me off though, Bob? So I mentioned this in the last article I wrote. I did Mount Monadnock here, which is 3,200 feet. Just over 1,000 meters. It took me all damn day. Like I started at the base. It was almost a 2,000 foot ascent. I carry a 38-pound pack all the way up the side of that mountain and all the way back down all day long. 3 points. I drove all the way up to Mount Lemon at 9,000 feet. I parked at like 8,700 feet or whatever because I needed a half a mile for the Pack Mule. I parked right at the summit practically and just walked up. It was 10 points. No effort, 10 points.
I was in the Black Forest, and I drove to a mountaintop, parked my car, walked 10 meters to a park bench, and activated for 10 points in the Black Forest. Yeah, so
I just have to mention here we
13.
Super chat here from
that's insane. Here we go. I think we need Soda News and Reviews and our own version of the point system.
I just have to say that's one of my daughter's friends, and I heard her say, "No,
that's all I got to say,
that.
Boys. I took an hour."
No, the SOTA ones, if you do a 10-pointer in winter, for example, in Belgium, there's a restaurant on the top, and then it's 3 winter bonus points because it's cold when you walk outside of the car. Slightly off.
Well,
we were
at
at,
Mount Lemon, it's 3 points in the summer because it's hot.
Yeah. Oh yeah. We get over here in Western Norway, where I live, it doesn't look as high, but you only get like 1 or 2 points. But somebody will tell you that it's pretty steep around here, at least some of the summits. We had an Italian, had an Italian guy come over living in the Alps, and he thought it was going to be very simple or easy to hike in the hills here. And he said that the mountains here were harder, and they're 1-pointers.
Interesting.
It's the same with nature or with POTAs. But
it is. I think we're gonna wrap up now. Next week.
Well, what else do we have to talk about?
Next week is going to be Meshtastic. Now that Bob has jumped on the
He wants to do
Meshcore
Meshtastic
bandwagon.
next week.
Yep. And Bob's had
What else do you do? Do we just sit and stare at each other now for another 20 minutes, or?
Yep. So Meshtastic next week, and thank you very much.
Morton, we can't hear you.
Okay, can any other hear me?
I can hear you.
Yep.
I can hear
You can hear me.
Yep.
Okay, I think it's Perry that can't
I
hear
can't
me.
hear him.
Can
you hear me, Barry?
Yes, now I can.
Yeah, now
Oh.
you can hear it. Okay.
Yeah.
Yep. Next week is Meshtastic, and we're gonna have Arnaud
Yeah, it's gone
LB6
again.
Whiskey Juliet
Maybe it's
here
me.
talking about Meshtastic. And
fun.
thank you so much for being on, Perry. If you can hear me.
Yep.
Yeah.
I'm not sure.
Thanks so much, Perry.
Thank you, Perry.
It was a pleasure, gents. I'm so happy to see all of you guys, and I hope to see you on the air. And Bob, I hope to see you in person soon.
Yeah, it take a few years, but we'll get there for sure.
Okay, great.
Thanks for being on. We'll see you next
Take
week,
care.
guys. 7-3 all.
7-3.
7-3.
7